Hi, everybody. Good to be here. Thanks for joining this session. Just going to wait like another minute to make sure everyone's in the session in case people are still joining. I want to make this session as interactive as possible, so please use the Q&A. I know it's day 2 of the event, so I'm sure some of you have already been using it. If you haven't been, I'm definitely be checking out the Q&A, so I'm going to want to hear what questions you might have as we go through this content. But that being said, I think we're 2 minutes in, so let's get started. So first, I want to just introduce myself. My name is Nick Boscia, partner at Boscia & Boscia PC. As you see from this first slide, I kind of like to paint a picture a little bit about our firm. It was founded by our father in 1975. So you see that first picture is actually a picture of me and my brother sitting on our dad's lap. It's about Halloween, probably 1995, I'm guessing. So just so you kind of see, it's kind of relevant for the presentation, because when I joined the firm in 2013, my dad was pretty old school and wasn't adapting to technology, wasn't trying to streamline his operations. He was kind of old school in the sense that he was doing this job for 30 years and it worked, so why change the system? So I'm super passionate about learning. I'm both a CPA and an EA. I constantly want to learn. I'm going to accounting conventions all the time, and just sharing knowledge and learning from others in our industry has completely changed my life. And that's kind of where I built the brand, The Balanced CPA. And basically what I'm passionate about is helping firms and individuals grow their firms on a personal and a professional level, because it's really about having a balance between your personal life and your professional life. Because I'm sure we all are really dedicated to building our firms and doing an awesome job, but I'm sure we all have other passions that are outside of work. Hopefully, spending time with family, friends, kids, traveling. And that's something personally about me. I'm a passionate world traveler, and I have a goal to go to 100 countries around the world. And so far I'm at 26 countries, so I have a lot to go. So that's kind of what makes me passionate about streamlining our operations, and because I want to be able to take more time off and go on vacation. When I first started, with my family firm, we had 0 vacation days that first year, and I knew that wasn't going to work for me, so something had to change. So, but we'll get right into it. So for today's agenda, just want to give a brief overview. We're going to start with why streamlining matters. Like why should anyone here care about this session? Why is it important to you? Then we're going to go into identifying any workflow bottlenecks you have. All of us do different things. I don't know what everyone's firm looks like and operates like. So we'll get into that. And I'm going to go through some of the pain points at our firm and how I've identified them and fixed them, or still trying to fix them. Then we'll go through a full workflow, whether you're doing bookkeeping or tax. We're going to use a test example as onboarding a new client who needs both bookkeeping and tax preparation. We'll go through the onboarding process that I use and built over the years to getting paid, the document management system that we're using, and then we'll talk about actually getting the work done, from managing the monthly bookkeeping to completing the year-end tax return. And then we'll go into a case study, which is really about our firm, kind of painting the picture more in depth of how our firm went from really old school to where we are today and where we project to go in the future. And then I blocked out some time because I want to actually have an interactive Q&A. So I'm hoping that people who aren't shy, you could actually raise your hand and you'll be able to get up on screen with me. I'll invite you up and you could actually ask your questions live. If no one feels comfortable getting on screen, that's completely fine. You can just message in the Q&A and I'll make sure to answer any unanswered questions toward the end. And then we'll wrap it up with a quick recap and just conclude the session. So let's jump right into it. All right, so why does streamlining matter? Why should anyone care about the session? Why are you here? So selfishly, when I first joined my firm, I wanted to streamline our operations solely out of a selfish reason. I basically wanted to save my own time because I was stressed out. We were getting tons of clients. My business partner is my brother. My dad is retired since. So my business partner, Joe, he's been really eager to get new clients. We've been growing and adding on clients since I joined the firm. And it was all awesome in the beginning. And then I started realizing there's only so much work I could get done as one person. And we had to make some changes because I was passionate about traveling and I was taking no vacation time. So I'm like, something has to change. So I'm like, I'm too stressed out getting all this work done. And I knew that, and I'm basically throughout this session, I'm going to go through all the changes that we made and how it's changed our firm. But on streamlining, a thing that's important to note is like, at first I thought it was just a selfish endeavor, but then I realized when you streamline your operations, it's going to help both you, your team, and your clients. So it's really like a win-win-win. So I feel like whenever you make a change in your firm, that's a win-win-win. It's worth taking your time. Even if it's something that's just going to help your firm, it's worth it. But when it's going to help everyone across the board, you know that your clients are going to have a better experience once you start streamlining. And we're going to go into the details throughout the session. But now I'm saving my time. My clients are happier and they want to, and then we're having higher retention over time. And then that just leads into increased revenue and the ability to scale your firm. So I'm actually going to launch the first polling question. Let me see how I get over here. Polling question 1. So let me know if you could see it on the screen or it will be in the polling section. I'll show on stage. Here we go. Sorry. So I just kind of want to get a gauge from the audience, like what brings you here? Like what's your main purpose? Because I'm going to kind of change the presentation based off the interests of the group. So I see, this is all live. So you see save time, reduce stress, and increase revenue and scalability. So obviously I'm sure we all want client satisfaction, but the question is what's your main driver? So thank you for participating. It's definitely helpful for me to kind of gauge where everyone's at. I'm going to do a bunch of polling questions throughout the session to keep it interactive. So I don't know how many people are in there. I'll keep it open for, like maybe another minute, but saving time, as I said, was definitely the most important factor for me at first because I was stressed out every day working so hard. And I just felt like every month you have the same work, things aren't getting more efficient. And then that was my main driver. And now increased revenue, all these things are all going to come together. So hopefully you take something away from the session. I know you will if you're listening. So thank you for for voting. But it looks like we basically have basically saving time and reduce stress is the #1 motivator for everyone here. So I definitely have a lot of tips and tricks for you. So I'm going to close the poll. Thanks for participating. Hide that. Let's go to the next. So first thing I had to do when I knew I wanted to streamline our firm was identify any workflow bottlenecks. All of us are doing different things. It'd be crazy for me to assume that we all have the same bottlenecks because we don't. We all started at different points, do all different services, have a different number of clients, have a different size team. But just from my perspective, so this is my experience, but think about yourself, think about your own bottleneck that you're like, I have to make a change here because this is a pain point and something has to give. But first thing on my bullet point was manual processes that could be automated. So just to paint a picture of our firm, when I started in 2013, I'll mention this a few times, I started an old school firm and my dad was writing up bank statements manually and manually keying all the transactions when we were doing our monthly bookkeeping. So when I joined in 2013, what do I know? This is my dad's firm. It's been around for 30 years. I'm not going to come in and say, we should change the system. So what do? I'm manually keying in all the entries. Every single transaction, we're coding, keying it in. That's how we did our monthly bookkeeping. It got the job done. A lot of you out there are like, that's crazy. I can't believe you were doing it that way, but that's the truth. And I like to tell this to people because just 10 years ago, I was manually doing it and it took a lot of time to change the system, but it's so worth it. Like I can't imagine if I was still doing that to this day. So that was just a process I knew I needed to automate. We can't be manually keying in monthly bank statements. It's crazy. So now we're doing bank feeds and entering rules so we don't have to keep recategorizing transactions every single month. It was crazy. And obviously that allowed us to expand and scale our firm. As our firm grew, then a new problem had happened. It was just me, my brother, my dad. It was pretty easy to divide up work with 3 people. Obviously, if you're a solopreneur, it's really easy. You have everything in your head. However, it gets to a point where you want to start getting all your information and your processes down on paper. So Financial Sense obviously is hosting this event. We use Financial Sense in our office and we implemented it last year and has been an absolute game changer, because before Financial Sense, our workflow management tool originally was a piece of paper. We used to cross off each month who was getting done. Then it evolved to an Excel spreadsheet. Ooh. And that obviously wasn't the best tool, but we got the work done. But now with Financial Sense, our team grew, our client base grew. So we needed a more powerful tool to track who was getting what work done. We're going to get more in detail on Financial Sense later in the presentation, but we were just having a lot of difficulty managing our clients because we were growing on our client base and we were growing with our team. So I knew something had to change there. And then on the same point, now we have so many bookkeeping clients, we want to make sure all the work's getting done, because now year end, our firm does both bookkeeping and tax. We're primarily focused on tax. We also do advisory services, but primarily a tax firm. So, but when tax season comes, we don't want to find out in January that we missed a couple months bank statements. So now we can't wrap up and finish the tax return. So just being able to view all of that and doing it in an automated system has been an absolute game changer for our firm. I just want to check out the questions. Oh, I'll definitely get into AI a little bit later. And then on that, another big bottleneck that we had to overcome or change modify throughout the years was our client communication. So when I joined our firm, clients could come in any which way, shape, and form. So we would have clients walk in the office any day, no appointments necessary, nights, weekends, because that was the model that my dad built. He was saying, I'm always here, I'm always accessible, I always want to be available to help my clients, which is very noble, but it's not very good if you want to have a balanced lifestyle. You don't want your clients calling your cell phone on a Friday night. I don't know, I see some thumbs up. Is anyone out there that doesn't want to get calls on Friday night? Because I definitely don't. When I'm out on a date with my fiance, I don't think I should be taking calls from my client. Back in the day, that was our normal procedure, that we were always accessible, we were always on, which makes us an awesome accountant, an awesome CPA, an awesome bookkeeper. But you have to learn how to disconnect. There's certain things in your life that are more important than getting your work done. And you're not saying to your clients, I'm not going to help you. You're just saying, hey, I want to be called between 9 and 5, Monday through Friday. And maybe you don't want to do those hours, but you have to set those standards. So having setting boundaries with client communication, I think, is extremely important. The last thing I have on here is paper. And the reason I put the exclamation points is because this is still a pain point we have. We're a local firm in New Jersey, and a lot of our legacy clients have been coming here for longer than I've been alive. So I have clients come in every tax season. They're like, I've been coming here for 40 years and I'm only 35. So it's hard to say, oh, well, we changed all of our systems and now everything is new and you have to use this technology. So it's been interesting trying to convert the legacy firm over. We've made huge improvements, but we're still working on it. So I want everyone out there to know that although I'm talking about all the awesome things we've done, we still have pain points. We still have a lot of growing to do. So I'm actually going to launch another polling question because I want to gauge what your biggest workflow bottleneck is. So let me just put this up. So what's your biggest bottleneck currently in your workflow? Manual processes, document management, client communication, project management, or payment collection? All of these we're going to get more in detail. All right, let's see. So far it's looking like manual processes. I could definitely appreciate that. You're doing things extremely manual, making big changes. Even our firm, we recently, a couple years, maybe 3 years ago, we went from paper to digital. So it's been a big process change for us, but all these things. And thanks for voting, everyone, because it shows that everyone's paying attention and listening. And then also it kind of makes me realize what's important to drill into as we go through the presentation, because we're going to nail each of these processes and how we improved it and ways that we still want to continue improving them. So it looks like manual processes is the #1, and then client communication. Definitely difficult when clients aren't getting back to you or calling you on your personal cell phone. So thanks everyone who voted, but I'm going to close that and we'll move on. All right. So I'm making an assumption that people out here still want to get new clients and onboard new clients. So I'm going to start by basically walking through our whole process at our firm and how it's evolved over how we used to do it, but starting with a new client. So let's just say a new client comes in, whether they come in person or they call on the phone or they send an email. The first thing we're doing, basically, I want to get their email address because I'm basically shooting them in like an introductory email. We have a small firm, so it's me, my brother, we have 5 employees, so it's 7 of us, and we handle a fairly large client base. Last year we did like 1,600 tax returns, excuse me, and we did do about 200 clients that we do bookkeeping for each month. So, but I still like onboarding the new client, having that first interaction if they're a referral over to me. So the first thing I like to do, I shoot them an email, say, hey, I'd like to connect with you. Thanks for reaching out. Let's see if we're a good fit for each other. And the first step that I'm doing now is I'm actually getting their tax return. So the first thing we do is we'll invite them to Smart Vault, which is our document management system. I'll get more in detail on that later. And it's a twofold benefit to our firm because now one, I'm determining, can this client use technology? Are they able to set up an account? Are they able to upload a file? It seems stupid, but it's difficult when clients don't know how to use technology or are not willing to learn to use a new piece of technology. So right off the bat, I'm knowing a client, all right, and it shows their commitment. They're like, yeah, I'll upload your return. And then I do that before I even have my initial call with the client. So now I'm showing commitment. And then another huge benefit of doing that, I recently changed this maybe 2 years ago, but I used to get on a initial call with the client, and then they would spend the first 10 minutes of the call explaining their tax situation. And a lot of the time, the way they explain their tax situation isn't their actual tax situation. It's what they thought their tax situation was. So how often do you get a client, they're explaining what type of filings they have, and they're like, they think they're a Schedule C, but they're an S Corp, or they have 3 partnerships, or they have real estate. So once I get that tax return, I'm actually adding a lot of value to the client because I could read that tax return. I'm sure anyone out there doing taxes, you could look over that tax return in less than 2 minutes, and you're going to know more about their tax situation than the client. So this is an example of using technology that makes my life easier, but it's also helping the client. So now I'm getting on that first initial call, and I'm already prepped and ready. And clients absolutely love that. So I want to make the clients have a good first experience if they get referred. We don't really do a lot of marketing. So clients are usually coming to us. So I want to make sure we land those clients or do my best. I'm bouncing a little out of order, but once that client uploads their tax return, then I'm going to automate the scheduling with Calendly. So if you haven't used a calendar scheduling app, basically Calendly, there's a bunch out there. Calendly syncs with my Outlook. It sees my availability, and I send out the link, and the client could instantly see what their availability is and what my availability is. A personal pet peeve of mine is, let's just give an example. I have to schedule a doctor appointment. I have to call the office, then they have to look at their calendar. I have to look at my calendar. This date doesn't work. What about next week? Why go back and forth? Like that's not really I don't think that's a good experience. I don't think anyone wants to go back and forth trying to schedule an appointment. So when that new client gets a link and then they see their availability, they look at their calendar, it just automates the whole process. And my admin doesn't want to spend time looking at my calendar to book an appointment. There's a billion other reasons why I love Calendly. Now the clients are getting automatic reminders, and I rarely ever have a client miss an appointment, which before when we used to do it manually, clients would forget about their meetings because it would be too hard to do follow-ups. So I absolutely love using Calendly. And then when I book a Calendly appointment, I always encourage my clients to do a Microsoft Teams meeting. We use the Outlook suite. So Microsoft Teams just integrates, whether it's Teams, Zoom, or whatever video conferencing tool you use. I recommend doing that with the new client because it's really valuable to have that face-to-face interaction. I'm a huge proponent of technology. I want to automate everything. I want to use technology for everything. I don't really think there's a lot of value to an in-person appointment because now you have the client driving and wasting their time. But you have that video call. It's like being together. It's like being right with the client. They get to see your face. They get to know you, hear your voice. So I really encourage you, if you're not doing a lot of video calls, try to push that on the client. I also think it helps retention, and then it helps you land a client. So the reason why I also like using a video calling tool, because I will record with an audio transcription service. I actually use Otter AI. There's a bunch of tools out there where you could audio transcribe the whole meeting, and it doesn't cost any extra work for you. So Now, in the background, we have that initial call. We're going through everything, answering all their questions. Maybe they're telling me about something new for 2024 that they weren't telling me about 2023, which is valuable to know. I used to be taking notes, and then where did the notes go? And it was kind of like not really the best system. So now when I audio record it, the call ends, and then Otter's going to transcribe the whole meeting. It's going to give me action items in a summary, and I'll basically say follow-ups, like things that I might need to do, things I might have told the client that I would follow up on, things the client needs to get me. And then typically in a new client call, I'll give a quote. So now I have the quote in there as well. So now I have all this stuff recorded. I shoot it over to the client, and it's just a great first experience. And almost always clients are like blown away because they're like, what a good experience. Because typically accountants aren't known for being the most forward thinking and using technology. A lot of clients come to us because their previous account was doing everything paper and they lost their tax return and things like that. So I try to make the experience efficient and beneficial for the client. So now, and on that first call, I think it's really important to set clear expectations. Let your client know, this is the way our firm likes to operate. This is what we expect from you. This is what you could expect from us. So setting those expectations is really important. And I see a note down there. Otter is similar to Fathom. I don't know about Fireflies, but in the Q&A, we'll go through more of these more in detail. So now let's say I have that initial call. That's the first experience the client has. They're like, all right, we want to move forward with you. I get the verbal confirmation. First thing I do is I create a new client onboarding project in Financial Sense. So essentially the onboarding project, however you like to do your onboarding, that's just the initial call. Now I do the onboarding. So let's say I need to get the client's information into our Outlook or our tax software, or I want to send really assigning projects to the team. So now each team member knows what part of the onboarding process they have to do. So when I make that initial onboarding project, now all the onboarding projects get assigned to the team members, so nothing falls through the cracks. And then really the most important thing is sending an engagement letter and getting the agreement signed, which we're going to go into on the next slide. I just want to see if there's any questions over here. All right, most of these we could get to. I'm a bottleneck. All right, I'm loving the activity here. We'll have a polling question actually coming up. Let's see. All right. So this is my favorite slide, getting paid. So everything that we're doing, we're working hard, getting all our stuff done, getting paid is always a problem. For our firm, it has been for a long time until this past year when we completely rechanged our system and use it an automating billing system. We use Anchor. There's a bunch of cool tools out there. There's Anchor, Ignition. I'm sure there's plenty out there, but this is just typical. And I'm just going through the tools that I use personally. So I love Anchor, and one of the things that I absolutely love about it is automating the billings. Like as we mentioned in the beginning, a workflow bottleneck is manual processes. We used to mail out our invoices when I first started. We would generate them in QuickBooks, mail them all out to the clients, and then just hope checks came in the mail. Even if all the checks come in the mail, it's still a slow process. Like, why do you want to get the checks, reconcile your QuickBooks to make sure everyone gets paid, make sure no checks bounce? So all those are, in my eyes, manual processes that could completely get eliminated. So there's a bunch of reasons why I love Anchor, but another one is engagement letters. So I got to know if you're doing bookkeeping or tax, you should be getting engagement letters signed from the beginning. And sometimes that's not easy to do. Anchor, it's a 2-in-1 system. You send out the agreement to a client, say, I'm going to do monthly bookkeeping for you. You're going to pay me $200 a month, every month for X period of time. And here's the engagement letter saying, this is what we're going to do for you. Now they're signing and paying all in one, which is an awesome system. Why constantly be mailing out invoices? That's the way our firm was operating for a long time, and it was a complete waste. And then the summer, we're doing collections. We're reaching out to clients who didn't pay. Oh, I didn't get the bill. Oh, nothing came in the mail. Oh, I sent the check out and it must have got lost. We've heard everything. And I'm sure out there, if you don't have an automated billing system, I'm sure you're hearing similar things. I'm actually going to launch another polling question because I kind of want to gauge where everyone's at. how you manage your receivables in your firm currently. So let me post this. So how are you managing your receivables? Do you have a lot of receivables and you're struggling to collect? You have some receivables, but they're manageable, no issues, you're getting paid on time, or you're getting paid before beginning the work. So as you vote here, I'm going to continue on. But that was the biggest change for using Anchor. So this past tax season in January, we got all of our invoicing for tax returns, and we sent agreements out right in the beginning of tax season. And basically said, if you sign and pay in advance, we're not going to change your fee. We're going to grandfather you into last year. And we got a huge amount of clients signing and paying, especially a firm like ours. We've been around for a long time. Clients have been coming in forever. They want to do what we ask most of the time. We're not saying pay us more. We're saying pay last year's fee. Just pay in advance, because it was slowing our system down. We're in April and I'm finishing a tax return and I'm saying, hey, your return's $500. They go, and then the response is, why did the fee go up $25? Like, those are conversations I didn't really want to have in April when I'm really busy and I'm cranking, I'm trying to get everyone's stuff done. So sending out invoices in the beginning, it was like the scariest change, because our firm's been around for, like, at this point, 50 years, and we've never billed in advance before. And this was the first year we did it, and we were nervous that we were going to get pushback, and we really had no pushback. The only people that didn't sign were people who didn't check their emails. So it kind of worked out. It did work out amazing. So I highly recommend billing in advance, and that's just for tax prep and for tax season. If you're doing monthly bookkeeping, this tool is even better. So we bill our bookkeeping clients quarterly. We always have trouble getting paid on time, mailing out the invoices. There's not an automated system. So one quarter, a client could just say, I missed it. They could be on vacation. They forget to send you the check or make the payment. Now all of our clients are linked in. Their agreements are set every quarter on the 30th, the end of the quarter. We get paid for all 200 bookkeeping clients instantly. And the clients like that. Now they don't have to worry about getting mail and deal with any follow-ups from us, because no one really wants to deal with billing. So this is like the easiest process to eliminate the manual process if you're still doing it manually. So let's check out the poll results. So some receivables are manageable. All right, that's good. And 25% get paid before beginning of work. That's awesome. You should be teaching the session, because our firm just started it. It's the best thing we ever did. So I'm going to close this poll. Thanks again for participating, everybody. Check out the polls over here. I'll go ahead. So favorite way to use AI, I see that's as the most votes right now. So I'll just keep putting your questions and upvoting in the question box. So I'll make sure I hit those later when it's a relevant section. Excuse me. All right, so secure document management. So I'm actually going to launch this poll right off the start, because I'm very curious. It seems like this group's pretty advanced. So is your firm currently paperless? Are you fully paperless, partially, or you rely heavily on paper? So our firm implemented Smart Vault in 2019. So when our dad retired, the first thing we did was implement Smart Vault, because we knew we were having such a pain point that every client was coming in, mailing their bank statements. They were dropping off their tax returns. We were spending so much time just scanning documents in. And timing was pretty much perfect, because we implemented Smart Vault that first tax season. No one wanted to use it. The second tax season was in COVID. So now people were afraid to come to the office. So it was kind of perfect timing to transition our clients, our legacy clients, over to our new system, because now they knew, for health reasons, they probably shouldn't come to the office, and everyone was uploading directly to Smart Vault. So that completely changed our firm, and that really allowed us to scale, because using paper was just such a drag on our firm. Let's see the results. So we got most of the groups fully paperless, some a mix of paper and digital, and some still rely heavily on paper. So I'm just going to close this poll, just to have an idea of where everyone's at. But if you're still relying heavily on paper, just realize, even though that system works, it's going to slow your firm down. Once we switch over to Smart Vault, we had some documents in Smart Vault, and then eventually we just realized it was the best tool, and we wanted to have a centralized portal for our team to access all the files, and then the clients to be able to access all the files. If you're familiar with Smart Vault or not, one of the best features is it actually syncs with our tax software, which is Lacert. So the way it works is we have 1,600 clients. It's automatically creating the folder structure in Smart Vault. So every client is going to have their own folder. If one client has 1 personal return and 5 business returns, S Corp, partnership, C Corp, it automatically is going to link that email to all of their folders, which is really powerful. Because back in the day, if that client goes, hey, I need my tax returns, we were logging into the system, emailing them tax returns, and hopefully if you're doing that, you're sending them encrypted because identity theft is becoming rampant. Or we were printing them out and mailing it. When we first started, we were printing all of our tax returns and mailing them out. And you know, anyway, some of you out there are probably like, that's actually crazy, but that's how we did it. With tax season, we were printing tons of paper, tons of postage. So just in postage, we paid for more than Smart Vault plus extra of savings. So, and it gives the client a better experience. So now the clients, obviously they already know how to use Smart Vault because the new client onboarding, the first thing they do is upload a tax return. So they know how to use the system. And now when tax season comes, they upload all their documents in there and we get notified. And then that's when we begin work, obviously after we know we got paid through Anchor. I think it's really, another piece I absolutely love is when clients drop off a paper tax return. For those of you who aren't doing tax, sorry if this is boring, but when you get a paper tax return dropped off, they drop off all the files, we scan them in, we do the return, and I say, oh, we're missing a 1099-R for your pension that you had last year. And like, oh, it was in the folder. So now I have to go upstairs, I have to go through, just to make sure scan didn't get missed, I have to go through the pages, and I realize it's not in here. So I have to call the client back, say it's not in there, and then they have to go look for it. Oh, whoops, I forgot it. And then they send it over. Or if they're uploading to Smart Vault, we have a timestamp of everything that gets uploaded. So it's just a stupid story, but it happens a lot, and when only happens with paper clients. So that's just an example of something that doesn't add value to our firm, and it doesn't add value to the client. So absolutely love using Smart Vault. If you don't use a document management system, definitely you need one, and it's just a secure way to share files. Like we don't want clients emailing their W-2s over to us or emailing their bank statements. Like they should be uploaded to a secure portal so there's no identity theft, no hacking, no stealing of information. All right. All right, workflow. So now let's get into the actual getting the work done. I'm going to start with bookkeeping. So I'm actually, oh yeah, another polling question I wanted to launch. I kind of want to gauge what everyone's working on in their firms. Show on stage. So like, what are the core services you offer your clients? Just so I kind of have an idea. Are you doing bookkeeping? And when I say core services, over 25% of your annual revenue, just to ballpark it. Because I'm sure we all make money in other areas, but I want to know, are you really getting most of your revenues from advisory, or is it from tax, or is it a mix of everything in between? I'm curious what they are, but you could post that in the chat box. I see there's a lot going on here. And then Emily, Emily's my moderator, if there's questions that you think I should jump on, let me know. But I see most people here are doing bookkeeping, 30%, 50% bookkeeping, tax, and we have advisory. That's awesome. And our goal with our firm is to streamline our processes so we have more time to do advisory services, because I think that's what a lot of the clients are looking for. Whether you're doing bookkeeping, you could offer advisory. Whether you're offering tax, you could offer advisory services on top of what you're currently offering. So, all right, so we have a lot of people doing bookkeeping, so perfect. I'm going to go through the whole workflow and how we use Financial Sense. All right, so one reason, if you aren't using a workflow management tool, as your firm grows, the more and more you're going to need it. I almost wish if I could go back, if I was a solopreneur, I would have Financial Sense already built out. So you have all of your work documented, all the processes documented, so nothing falls through the cracks. So let's use the example of bookkeeping. So we do 200 clients every month, similar steps to get their bookkeeping completed. So when we first got Financial Sense, we created 200 bookkeeping clients, and we set them to recur every single month. And each client, they have the typical steps: data entry, reconcile the books, reach out to the clients for anything we might need, and we would build specific client notes into each client's project. So, for example, one of our 200 clients, some need to pay sales tax, some don't collect sales tax, so that's not relevant. So a client who has sales tax doesn't have an additional step in their monthly project. And then we might have 1 or 2 clients who pay what we call as UEZ sales tax, or urban enterprise zone. They pay half the rate of a typical sales tax client in New Jersey. The only reason I explain that is because that's information I used to have in my head and no one else on the team knew. So I had to do those clients myself because it's too hard to explain. Oh, you have to go into a separate login. You have to do the separate step, one or 2 additional steps. So I used to just do it. But now with Financial Sense, I could put those specific notes into those 2 clients. So now that a new team member could join our firm today and they could see the steps, exactly what to do for that client, and they could do the UEZ sales tax that we only have for 2 clients, because the steps are identified in each project, and then that recurs. So then if steps missing, because at first it seemed like a lot to implement Financial Sense, but you don't have to put all the steps in. If you had nothing recorded before, then just starting is going to save you a ton. But now, after using the product for over 1.5 years, we have such specific notes for each client, and none of the tasks ever get missed. And it sets the deadlines. It helps us keep on track for year-end processes, and it's awesome. I know they wanted me to mention that if you are interested in Financial Sense, they're doing a promotion throughout WorkflowCon. If you sign up, the first 3 months are 50% off, and you'll get free onboarding. So if it interests you, if you have any follow-up questions, I'm going to get more in detail on how Financial Sense works, but it's an awesome tool that is probably my favorite thing to allowing me to actually be the balanced CPA that I claim to be, because now I go on vacation for 2 weeks and I come back and there's not a pile of work left for me because the team knows exactly what to do. But before Financial Sense, it didn't work like that. I would come back and I would have a ton of work to do. Let's go over to the next. So here's just a zoomed up version so you can kind of see how the tool works. Give me 1 sec. Excuse me. So here you see, this is just demo data, just because I don't want to share my own client stuff, but you could see you have your client list, what projects need to get done, and then you have tags in there. So now in the tags, you see the green tag, ready to prepare. So now anyone looking in, if you're managing the firm or you're an employee in the firm, you could see exactly everyone has the same visibility of what projects are, where they're at in their progress. Maybe in the red tag, you see waiting on clients, and maybe we need a bank statement. Maybe we need an updated password to get their bank feeds and their bank statements for bookkeeping. And then over on the end, you see the signees. So you could see who has to take care of that task. It's awesome. So you have all the projects of your firm. At first, when we first built it out, we did it just for bookkeeping. So we don't want to change too much systems. It seems complex. We did all bookkeeping. We're like, oh, wait, once you build it out, now everything's automated. You don't have to make any changes. Then you could put in payroll. Here they have payroll as an example. We don't do payroll in-house. We just use ADP because we don't want to get involved in payroll because it gets messy. And then you have 1040 tax returns. So now you could see all the different projects. You could filter, you could search, you could sort by any project so you know what you're looking for. And then here is just drilled down into a project. So now this is one task of monthly bookkeeping. It has all the team tasks. This is a simplified version. You see the same assignee by the picture on all the tasks. But typically, if you're a big bookkeeping firm, you probably have someone who's doing the entry level stuff. Then you have someone doing the review, and maybe someone doing a final review, closing everything out. So you could kind of assign it exactly who needs to get what done, which is awesome. And you have it broken down into 2 sections. You have the team tasks, which obviously is internal, and then you have the client tasks. You could automate anything. So if you're reaching out to a client every month saying, hey, I need your POS sales for the sales tax. I need your bank statement every month. I need your quarterly payroll report. You could automate all those processes. What if you forget to reach out? The client goes, oh, you never reached out. I forgot to send it over to you. Now you don't have to worry about that because Financial Sense is going to completely automate your whole process. And it does so much. Our firm is still like, that's my big goal is to keep utilizing all the new features because they're constantly coming out with new features, which is amazing. And then a cool thing is the resources tab. We could actually directly link and integrate Smart Vault. So now it just saves us clicks. So we're working in this client, there's Smart Vault links there. I click it, I go right into their documents solution. So now I could see all their documents and it just makes the whole, and this is essentially what streamlining is. You're just trying to make you have to get all the work done. You have all these steps to get a new client done all the way to the finished product. Let's try to link things. Let's try to integrate things to make our lives easier. So now to the year-end business tax prep. So if you're not doing tax, that's fine. But we do in our firm, we do the monthly bookkeeping, we get through the process, and now we do the year-end business tax return. So on a monthly level, it's awesome to have all your monthly notes that recur, so you don't have to remember anything. But then on a year-end level, it's even more powerful because it's something you're only doing once a year. So any year-end entries or special notes that you had for a client for the year-end, now you're putting that in a yearly project. So now 12 months from now, you don't have to remember these tasks. You don't have to remember the steps that you did. One client might have a unique situation. You might have to tie out loan balances or whatever you may call it. But I absolutely love it for a yearly project. So we make sure we get everything done. Same kind of points as a monthly work. Everything has to get done. It has your deadlines, and it keeps us on track to make sure no one falls through the cracks. Then on tax prep, so one reason we use Intuit List Cert for tax preparation. And once the return is completed, we're already got paid through Anchor. So we know the client's paid, we finish the work, and then we're sending 8879s to get e-signatures before e-filing right through the tax software. So we click send e-signature, it's automatically placing the signature lines. It attaches a copy of the tax return so the client can review it. They sign it, and that's what the IRS needs for 8879 records. So we have that, and that saves directly in our tax software. So that used to be a huge pain point for us. It was so hard for a firm to get 8879 signed, and now it's simple. We barely think of it as a part of our workflow because you just click the button, it sends, and when they sign, it just says completed. We e-file the return. We file the return, we print it. When I say print it, we really just upload it directly to Smart Vault. We don't have to map anything. It's already automatically mapped through Smart Vault. So, and then that's our whole process. So, it's maybe long-winded, but from new client to getting the bookkeeping done, getting paid, filing the tax return, and getting the documents to them. Because really, at the end of the day, the clients, when they pay for their tax return, they want to have access to the returns 24/7 on their phone, on the go. Mailing them a tax return is such an antiquated, in my opinion, system, because now if a client, if they want a paper, I completely could respect that, but let them have access to PDF and then they can print it when they need it. Not a lot of people have filing cabinets in their house with 20 years of returns anymore, and if they do, you could still offer that service. But I think for the newer generation, they're going to want an electronic version of their tax return. So this is our system, and let's move on. So I'm going to go into a case study about our firm. So I gave you, a brief summary of how our firm operates, and kind of our roots started in 1975. Before computers, my dad was doing everything by hand. And sorry, I'm just checking out 10 minutes left. So just keep it on time so we could have time for questions. But my dad was doing everything by hand. And as technology evolved, he didn't evolve with the technology. And I like pointing that out because you don't have to implement the technology. All this stuff is optional. It's like add-ons to the way you operate. You could keep making your firm more and more efficient if you want to. My dad still, he still works out of his home to do some returns, and he likes to do it the old school way. And no one's saying that's wrong, but I knew that wasn't for me. I knew I wanted to travel. My goal this year is to take 60 vacation days, and I'm going to hit 60. Last year was 40. And I'm setting goals for myself, and that's what's getting me to streamline our operations. But we made such big changes in our firm, and it's been like so rewarding, but it wasn't easy. But what got me to become the balanced CPA that I like to call myself is my dad. He worked 7 days a week growing up. When I grew up, I never saw my dad. He was working every day. He was working holidays. On Christmas, me and my brother would open up Christmas gifts. He'd be there for the morning, and I'd be off to work. Why? I have no idea. But he didn't want to make changes. He wanted to dedicate his life to his firm, which is awesome, super noble. But I knew that wasn't the lifestyle I want to live. I still want to give my clients an awesome experience. I want to help them. I want to do advisory services and give them what they really want. But I don't want to be bogged down and say, oh, I can't do that because I'm so busy mailing out tax returns. I'm so busy doing collections all summer. So those were the reasons why I wanted to make all these changes in our firm. It didn't happen overnight. It's my 12th year, and it's been a lot of work, but it's been so worth it. And you know, the case study I was actually published on Intuit's Tax Pro Center. It's basically just this article of how me and my brother doubled our client base, and we didn't work more. When I first started, I worked more than I worked now. But when I first started, I was making a lot less money. So, so definitely all these things have been life-changing for me. So I absolutely am super passionate about it. And all that I really care about is someone out there takes something and use it in their firm and like, oh my God, Nick said this one recommendation, it really changed my life, or it just got me to have more free time. And I went on that vacation I've been wanting and I've been putting off. So that was the case study, like basically about our firm and how we modernized. I'm going to go through a little quicker here. So I want to launch one more polling question. What's your top priority for firm growth in the upcoming year? So do you want to strengthen your team? And I think it's really important to have your team and train your team, because you really can't do it all yourself. Technology, obviously I've been going on and on about technology. I absolutely love technology. Once you implement it, it's a lot of work up front, but it pays off in the long run without question. I see a lot of votes for standardizing your workflow. I absolutely love that. I think that's the most important thing, is standardizing your workflow, because clients don't know how you want to operate your firm. If you don't have your picture perfect workflow for a new client, how would your client know what you expect of them? So just know, you should really think, if standardizing your workflow is the number one thing you know you're going to focus on, picture the perfect client from they walk in the door to you finish the bookkeeping or you finish the tax return. How do you want that workflow to look? Let them know that's how you want it to be. Once clients know, most people are great people. They just need to be coached a little bit. Hey, this is how we operate. Oh, that's it. I'm a little confused. Just explain it to them, and they'll use SmartVault. They'll use all the systems that you use. They'll use Calendly and say, oh wow, this is a great tool. I just worked with a client. Been coming here since he was 19 years old. So he's been coming here longer than I've been around. Just got off the phone with him, and I made him book through Calendly. He's like, you call me. I'm like, you have to book an appointment. That's just how my brain operates. I like having an appointment. And he's like, oh, I never did that before. But he's like, oh, that's a cool system. So just believe, I like to believe that clients want to make changes. You just got to work with them. So standardizing your workflow, I think, is awesome. There's a lot of great things. And then adjusting your pricing. If you're hitting capacity issues and you're offering an awesome service and you keep getting new clients, maybe you have a pricing problem. Our firm we have a lot of clients, and we would have kept that. We would be completely overloaded with work if we didn't start adjusting our pricing to what market should be, or premium, if that's the type of service you're offering. But just keep in mind, offering, just increasing your pricing is going to be a game changer, and you're going to make more money. So that's what, our firm should do. Right, let me get into Q&A. So I'm running a little over time, just getting really excited. So if anyone wants to jump up and raise their hand, and anyone wants to ask a question that you might have put in the chat that I missed, if you click to raise your hand, I see someone. All right, Shannon. Let's get Shannon up on stage. Is this working? All right, Shannon, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing good. I just wanted to say that I absolutely loved your presentation. And I hopped in and out of most of the breakout sessions to try and find the presenter that I wanted to stick with. And it was, but I don't know that you really covered like all the different ways that you kind of use AI, how you implement.
Oh, yeah. So,
and instead of being afraid of it, because I'm totally not afraid of it.
Yeah. So I absolutely love using, ChatGPT. There's tons of AI tools out there, but one way I really love using ChatGPT is when clients ask questions. So they shoot me an email and a question in an email, excuse me. And I want to, sometimes I'm so busy, I'm rushing through the answer like, oh, can I deduct this? Yes, send. But that's not really like a great experience for the client. So now I'm copying that into ChatGPT. I actually make a custom GBT that kind of shows like how I like to talk and what my role is, and explain to ChatGPT. I like to, for people who don't use any AI tools, treat ChatGPT like an intern. Intern comes in first day, they don't know anything. Teach them everything they need to know. This is how we like to operate. And now it helps me write emails. I've used it for so many unbelievable things. It helped me, you know, run through the presentation. When I ran through this presentation, I was like, oh, give me some tips, how to make it more interactive. And it was saying, add more polling questions. So it could use, it's like having an assistant. So I definitely, if you're not using it, it's not like you are using it, right?
Yeah, I've played around with a few. My problem is that when I ask ChatGPT specific payroll compliance issues, it hallucinates a lot. And I get, instead of getting state answers, I get federal answers. But I also have the brain power to know that it's not giving me the right answer.
Yeah, yeah. I know. So stuff like that, like I don't rely on it for more complex items yet, but playing around with it, learning what it can do, can't do. It's terrible at math. So I always have to recalculate the stuff in Excel. So just knowing that, but just in the interest of time, thanks for jumping on, but we only have a few minutes left. So, all right, Angela. We only have a short 2 minutes left. So if you, how you doing?
Perfect. Great. Thank you for taking my hand. So my question is, what are good ways to know how to adjust and price correctly as you are starting to streamline everything and you're being more efficient? How does that
do you say that one more time? I can't hear you.
So how do you learn how to price correctly?
So for my firm, I mean, maybe not give you the best answer, but we were like a low cost solution when I first joined the firm. So, and we had a high volume of clients because we were a low cost solution. So we started increasing our pricing year over year. A lot of accountants will say, just double your fees. Because if you double your fees and you lose half your clients, you're going to break even. But when you have a firm that's been around for a long time, you don't want to do that to your client. So we were gradually increasing our fees. And then we started actually building out the pricing in our tax software based on the schedules. So that's kind of how we did it. But hopefully that's helpful. But I have to jump. I only have 1 minute left. So feel free to email me. I'm going to send my contact to everybody. All right. We don't have time for a group discussion. Sorry. But I just want to do a quick recap. My main takeaway that I want to let everyone know that I highly recommend just take one actionable step today. There's a ton to do. Don't get overwhelmed. My QR code is there. If you scan it, you could have all my contact information, my LinkedIn, Facebook, whatever. Keep in touch. If there's anything I didn't answer, sorry, I was a little bit over on timing, what I planned for, because I wanted to take more questions. So scan the QR code, reach out to me, send me a message on LinkedIn or whatever, and I'll be happy to help you. But please, just collaboration is key. I don't know if anyone saw Dawn Brolin's session, but I'm good friends with Dawn. And over the years, I've been picking her brain and she's been helping me, giving me ideas. And it completely changed my firm and changed my whole life. And I have such a better work-life balance now. I love what I do. I'm doing the tasks that I enjoy. And I'm not spending my time doing things that I hate, you know, like mailing out a tax return. They used to drive me crazy. So just do something, identify the bottleneck in your firm or your pain point, and just figure out how you could fix it. So, but I encourage everyone to reach out to me. I hope everyone got something away from my session. I was really excited to be here. So I hope you felt that in my presentation. So I just wanted to say thank you.